All right, we're back here at IRI on First TV, and I have a very special guest, winner of the 2019 Championship Woodie Flowers Award, the first ever first alum to win this award, Mr. Alan Gregory. Hey, Alan.
Hey, Karthik. Thank you very much.
Well, I mean, first of all, congratulations on the award. Absolutely well-deserved. So what was your, when your name was called, or when that speech was being read, did you realize it was you?
I realized about halfway through they started talking about inspecting at First Global and some things, and my kids started getting really excited, and I was like, oh, they know it's me, that it's probably actually me this time. And it was, I did not expect it at all. I did not expect to win the award or anything. We were sitting there preparing for a match. We were in the driver's station ready to go, not even focused on really what was happening behind us as much. We were like, oh, we should be ready to clap. But we were still talking strategy even while they were reading the speech.
So, and that's the thing that for our audience to understand. This was announced during Einstein, and Alan and Spectrum were on Einstein getting ready for like a really competitive match. And so just that whole process. But what was the coolest thing about winning the award for you?
It was definitely everyone who reached out. So I've just getting to see all of the friends I've made over the years, them congratulating me, talking about what they remember, what I've helped them with and things. That's been great. Just getting random people I've never even met saying, hey, we really think what you do is great, and we're glad you have won. That's been awesome to hear.
Yeah, and it's one of the great things about this program, and like with the award being able to recognize mentors who've been doing so many things. And the Woodie Flowers Award, it recognizes a mentor who's been an effective communicator of STEM concepts to the students on their team, but it also recognizes a mentor who kind of embodies what's right about this program as a role model for other students. So do you see a sense of responsibility in this role, Alan?
Absolutely. So anyone who's a mentor should see a sense of responsibility in setting a good example for the students that we lead. So as leaders in our team and as leaders in our community, one of the biggest things we can do is make sure if we see something that we know doesn't meet with the values and what we want to see in the program, that we step forward and police ourselves and say, hey, what we're doing right now, let's calm down. It is a competition. We all want to win, but let's go about it with as much sportsmanship, as much grace, and be as good of people as we can while competing, since the competition matters, but so does making sure everyone here is going to be inspired and everyone here is ready to go on and do more than just what this competition is, right? The event itself doesn't matter. What matters is everything that's involved in every day that we're working with these students, everything that comes with the program, not just each event, each match. Yeah, we all want to win, but we want to do so much more than that.
Yeah, it's the micro interactions, not just the macro interactions. And, the whole learning and mentoring process kind of continues on and on. And so we talked about this at the beginning. You were a student in this program at one point. So what did you learn as a student that allowed you to be the mentor that you are today?
That was actually one of the main reasons I kept mentoring while in college when I first started, was because of so much that the mentors on my team, 647 when I was a student, gave back to me. They gave their time. They had families that they could have been giving their time to. They had their own children, but instead they were in the lab teaching me how to go about building our robots and also just teaching us how to be good people, right? We worked with them through doing charity work. We worked with them through doing outreach for the robotics program. And we really got to see how they became good people, not just how they became a good engineer. And so that's one of the things when I came on, I really wanted to make sure I was doing for our team too, was that it's not just how do you become an engineer, how do you go into science technology, it's how do you actually become a good person. And
I think often in this program, we always talk about partnerships in a one-directional way. But the partnership between mentors and students is so important because the students, we learn from them. And has there been a specific time or a specific student, or just in general, what have you learned from the students on your team?
Yeah, we're a very close partnership. So Spectrum's run in a little interesting way. There's not a lot of mentor support. It's really 2 or 3 of us and about 30 kids. So the students have to do a lot every single year, and they develop the program more and more. So it's amazing how often they're the ones who say, hey, what if we did this cool initiation project? So we've done trading cards of other mentors and things based on student ideas. So many things that they say, hey, this is something that I think I would be interested in, maybe a bunch of the other students in our community would as well. And they do that so much. And they calm me down if I'm getting too excited or riled up or something. They're often the ones who are, hey, Alan, this isn't that important right now. Let's take a breather. They're the ones that do that too. We work with each other constantly to do that, right? If they're getting nervous, I can work them up, make sure they're ready to go. They do the same thing for me.
I remember when you won the Woodie Flowers Award, one of the things that was talked about in the speech was the resources that you've helped create with the blog. And I mean, it's amazing what under your leadership Spectrum's done, how much information they put out there, and how many teams I talked to were like, oh yeah, we got this idea from Spectrum. We learned this from Spectrum. What drove you to push Spectrum to be the team that creates all these resources?
So that was actually interesting. So right as I was starting at Spectrum in about 2012 was when I took over that FRC season. The previous couple years, there had been a couple teams who had done full build blogs, and they kind of released them either postseason or somewhat during the season, and it was just so valuable because just being able to read how other teams operate wasn't something that I'd really seen. I'd been doing it already for 5 or 6 years. So being able to go through and do that, I was like, okay, so I have some time, and it's a useful way to be able to not tell just the rest of the community, but also our own team, what we're doing every day so that all the students knew, everyone was up to date, and we could just publish it. And once we started the blog, it just made sense to be able to document how do we do our wiring, how do we make everything else, and releasing it, the feedback loop of being able to share it with another team, them saying, oh, hey, that was really cool, we learned this, but also have you heard about this thing? And we get a ton of benefit from everything we share. The number of connections we've made, teams that have said, hey, this might be a better solution, have you thought about this? This might be something to add to your document, and just becoming friends with people because we've shared has been phenomenal.
That's, it's just kind of neat when you think about sharing, how sharing is something that we do altruistically, but also sharing can benefit you. And I think that's something that a lot of teams in the first community don't always realize, and it's kind of one of those unintended consequences of the process.
Yeah, it is amazing how much we've built our recognition in the community just because we're willing to share basically documents that we pretty much create for ourselves. It's not a bunch of it isn't just for other teams, right? We're building it for either teams we're helping locally. We're saying, hey, oh, this is a good idea. You want this? We'll write it up, give it to them, but then we'll also just share it with everybody because it's not actually that much more work to post it to a forum or to post it on a blog. It's pretty easy to do that part. So once we're already doing the work, it's very easy to share it with everyone else.
And so we're here at IRI, which a lot of people recognize as one of the best or maybe the best off-season event. You run the Texas Robot Invitational, which also has great reviews. Everything I hear about this event is great. What do you think is the key to running an amazing off-season event?
I think running any amazing event is just to realize that you're there for the teams. They're the ones who pay the registration dollars. They're the ones whose experience matters the most. And anything you can do to make sure every single team is leaving happy and inspired is what you have to do, right? And it's not going to be perfect. There are going to be some times where either something goes wrong, something happens, but even just going to the team and be like, hey, sorry this happened. This is what we did. This is why we did it. Is that cool? Does everything make sense? Is there anything we can do to make it up, make it better? We do a lot of that personal stuff, making sure that I have contacts for all the mentors who are coming to the team, and we're reaching out to them ahead of time, whatever we can do to make their lives easier and get them to a good event so that they can actually do the hard work of inspiring all their kids. That's what we want to be able to make happen.
Yeah, the philosophy is, it's the team-centric, team-focused customer service providing these great experiences. So Alan, a lot of people, they know about who you are in the first community, but what do you do outside the first community? What's your day job? What's the life of Alan Gregory like? You are a celebrity, and people need to know.
So there's not actually that much outside of FRC. So I'm actually one of the few people who's a full-time FRC mentor for the most part. So I'm actually an employee of St. Agnes Academy, one of our schools. We're out of 2 schools, St. Agnes Academy and Straight Jesuit. I am a full-time employee for St. Agnes to be paid as their engineering coach. So I run the after-school engineering program for them, and that includes all the outreach we do and everything. On occasion, I'll do engineering consulting, we'll do some camp stuff and different things, but for the most part, I do engineering and FRC as much as I can, and just working with the community to make it bigger and better.
All right, last question before we go, Alan. What's your favorite part of IRI?
Ooh. Surprisingly, it's not the corn. No, favorite part of IRI is actually just getting to play with a bunch of the teams that we don't get to see very often. Being at South Champs, we get to come up here and play with a lot of the teams from Ontario, New York, Indiana, Michigan, everyone that we don't get to see very often. It's great to see friends that I've known for a long time and get to introduce my kids to a lot of new teams and people as well.
All right, Alan, thank you for doing this interview. Thank you for everything you do for Spectrum and for the community, and congratulations again on being the youngest and the first alum to win the Woodie Flowers Award.
Thank you very much.
All right, we'll be back here at IRI with more coverage and more crazy stuff.